Man, because I think this is going to be a powerful exchange here, and rebuilding the Black community, repairing the Black culture. So I want to start with OG Patrice because I know she has to be on another show in a little bit, and so I know she's busy. But OG Patrice is she's championing the ADOS, the reparations for our culture and our people, and so I want her to go into what ADOS is, what it means for our people, and what we should, how soon should we see some progress in it, if there is any, if we're voting for it, just anything and everything about the ADOS, and explain what it is, the acronym, everything, because OG Patrice, you're championing that. So I'll let you go first.
Hi, thank you. I appreciate it. Shout out to the panel, to everyone. Good evening. Shout out to the chat. Miss Genesis, I just have a quick question to ask you. I see you with the DePaul T-shirt on. Did you go to
Yes.
the DePaul in Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm from Chicago. I used to work at DePaul. I used to work at the
Okay.
Lincoln Park campus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
small world. Well, nice to meet you, sis.
Nice to meet
Yeah,
you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. ADOS, what does that mean? ADOS is the acronym meaning the American Descendants of Slavery. And the ADOS Foundation is a grassroots organization that has arisen to claim the reparations for Black Americans, for African Americans, for descendants of slaves. And what that means is we know that racism and discrimination was built off the backs of slavery, right? And of our ancestors that built this America's for free 99. So if you qualify as ADOS, as a descendant of slaves, then you would qualify for the reparations. And what that means is the reparations program is used to strategically in the United States and throughout the world to provide redress for grievances, injustices that was done, and that what our United States government has allowed to happen to Black people that were brought over here through the transatlantic slave trade and chattel slavery, going into the movement of the Jim Crow movement, the Civil Rights movement, Reconstruction, all of those things. When 1865, the Homestead Act was in act. Black people couldn't read, they had no rights to anything, they couldn't vote, so things of that nature, right? And for the 40 acres and a mule that was owed to descendants of slaves when they were released from slavery. So when Jackson was in office, and then Jackson, I forgot who preceded him. I forget the president who preceded him. Forgive me. So Lincoln put it in office, and then
Lincoln.
Lincoln put it into law, and then when Jackson became president, he reversed it, and he actually gave the 40 acres and mules back to the slave masters that owned the slaves. So when the slaves had to go back to work for the slave masters, that was the sharecropping movement, right? So then you got paid pennies on a dollar for producing the cotton, producing the sugar, producing the tobacco, and all of those things. Many of our ancestors invented a lot of the things that they could not get the credit for because they could not read or write, but they invented and created them for the slave master, and they slapped their names on it, patented, and made it their own. So ADOS is saying that the 40 acres and a mule that was never given to our ancestors are due to their descendants, the same way that the Jewish community received their reparations to their descendants, the same way the Native Americans received their reparations to their descendants, the same way the Japanese received their reparations to their descendants. So all of those other racial uh, other race of people receive their reparations. So African Americans or descendants of slaves are the only ones that have not received any form of reparations. And what that looks like is a breakdown of, because I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that, we say, well, what black people gonna do with the money when we get it? Because we know we're not good with money. We just gonna spend the big old check and just give it right back to the hands of the person that do not look like us, or the Caucasian persuasion. We're gonna spend it on a bunch of designers and things of that, and we gonna just be flossing around here, and that may or may not be, but the biggest misconception is that they think it's just going to be a big check just given to people that qualifies for it. And your qualifications as a person of ADOS is there's four ways: your social security, your birth certificate, your African ancestry, and as well as your census. So if you put on there at any point in time you were born, you were black, you were African American, you were a Negro, or you were colored, then you will qualify as a descendant of slaves. And so from that, we're saying, what does that look like? What does that breakdown look like? So ADOS has a team of economists, socialists, engineers, mathematicians, scientists, people that sits on the ADOS Foundation that has given a breakdown pretty much of what that will look like for us. So when we look at the wealth gap between our us and our white counterparts, there is a large wealth gap, and blacks are roughly 13% of the population, and we only own 1.2% of the wealth, and majority of that is from celebrities. So when you talking your average people like you and I that work a day job every day, and we go out there, that does not rarely qualifies us. So ADOS is saying the wealth gap is not fair because what should have been given to us to start our life here in America, when our ancestors came over, was never given to us to build on. We never got that. We never were able to give that. So when the Civil War happened and those black slaves that fought front and center in the Civil War, they were treated badly in the war. They were still treated as slaves in the war. And then when they were released, they never received the equal pay, the equal housing, the equal education, equal funding that their white counterparts did, and they fought the same wars and died for the same wars. So, with that being said, ADOS is saying, hey, look, this is something that it's owed to us. It is a debt, and we're saying if you can give it to all the other racial, we should be able to get it too. So ADOS has came up with a foundation. We're trying to get a bill passed to take to Congress for this to come into play. But we're fighting, we're study building, we're study coming together. We have ADOS almost in all 50 states now. I'm a part of ADOS Nevada. That's where I originally got my start from. So that breakdowns looks like we're saying about 12 to 14 trillion dollars is owed and counting. The bill is steady going up. It's counting that is owed to descendants of slaves for
Can you repeat that?
for
Sorry, Miss OG
chattel
Patrice.
slavery. Which part?
How much it was owed?
12 to
I'm just
14
taking.
trillion. Yeah, 12 to
Okay.
14 trillion. It's estimated to be owed, and it's still counting right now
All right.
from up back then up until current. And so what we're saying is how we want that broken down look like for us as ADOS. We are saying that we need that in the form of not just a check and send us on our way, but we know that Black America suffers the most when it comes to poverty, when it comes to our health, when it comes to our mental state, and when it comes to financial literacy. So as a part of the the reparations. We're saying that we want to be able to have these things accessible in our communities for our people. We know that we need mental health so that we can get mentally fit, better, mentally better stability, financial literacy. We want to be able to say, hey, we want to be able to, make sure that we are building our communities correctly with this funding, that we are, putting the schools, the hospitals, the grocery stores, the things that the after school programs, the recreations, all the things that is no longer in the Black communities that you don't see anymore in your average neighborhoods. So we want to be able to build from those things. And what that look like is give us the financial literacy that we need, whether it be courses, training, classes, whatever, as a part of that. Give us we need mental clinics and hospitals to be able in our neighborhoods so we can deal with the mentally ill, because we have so many people, especially veterans, that come home and they are suffering really, really bad from things like PTSD, et cetera, et cetera. And the veteran hospitals are overflowing. The veteran hospitals, the appointments are so long. So we also need something else to be able to cater specifically to descendants of slaves. And as well, we know that we are not the most healthiest people, and this pandemic has been proof of that, because more of our people have died than any other race of people due to things like underlying health conditions. So we're saying we need to get healthier too as a people. So things that deprive us in our neighborhoods, like food deserts, where you don't see the average produce, fruit and vegetable shops and grocery stores and produce and whole food stores. So we saying we need more of these in Black communities than we need fast food restaurants on every corner. We want to get our people healthier on a mental and on a physical. And also, after that, we're saying that we want infrastructure, which means we need land, because a lot of the land that was stolen from us, per rebuilding Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, Asheville, North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. So many places scattered abroad over the United States, that where our ancestors owned the land, it was either stolen from us or taken from us by force. And so we're saying we definitely need land to build it, to have infrastructure to build on. We want to be able to build our own schools, hospitals, grocery stores, et cetera, right? And then after that, we're saying we want grants for education. So we want to be, because you denied our ancestors that they wasn't able to get an education when they were brought over here. So we want grants for education as well for our people. We're also saying that that ADOS wants, let me get another, like a list. So the thing is called the Black Agenda, right? With this list of things. And not only are we saying that, we want to be able to build, create, invest in Black businesses to build our economic system up, to uplift our people in our communities. We need economics, labor, and economics and labor. We want to be able to have the financial institutions that took a part in slavery, because they used slaves as insurance. The slave masters did. They had the slaves as insurance. So we were literally property to them. So we're saying we want the banking institutions, the insurance companies that all took part in this and still benefiting right today off of that. Right today, we're saying we want that. We want the environment. We want to breathe better air. We want fresher water. Look what's happening in Flint, Michigan. So the things that affects the urban communities the most: health and nutrition, and of course housing. That was one of the main things. Via redlining, housing was denied to so many Black Americans when they came over here. And we want to be able to deal with the widespread of the immigration laws that was used to suppress us as well. So with the housing, right now we have in Illinois, if you do your research, Evanston, Illinois just got some form of reparations for housing that was denied to them back in the 30s and 40s, and now they gave some form of reparations to those descendants for housing, to be able, for them to be able to buy housing now, because they denied their ancestors of that because of redlining. In Asheville, North Carolina, reparation, they just paid 2 point something $1 million of reparations to them for the destruction of Asheville, North Carolina. Providence, Rhode Island, just got some form of reparations, millions of dollars. So ADOS know that this definitely can be done. So when it comes to the voting rights, because they're trying to suppress our votes again, meaning black voters, we're saying that we want that avenue to be open up more, so that there can be more opportunities for black voting to not be suppressed and to be spread it amongst all over the 50 states. And of course, the criminal justice system, we have to deal with that, because we know the criminal justice system and the prison reform has not worked when it comes to black people. We know that a black man and a white man can literally go to jail for the same crime, and the black man gets more time than that white man does for the same exact crime. And definitely the 94 crime bill that played a part in a lot of black men and women going to prison and having more time than for committing the M word, just for selling marijuana. We're saying it's only 2% of blacks that are in the cannabis industry that actually own dispensaries. So we're saying we want in on that, because this is the same system that you are now benefiting off of via capitalism, and you only let 2% of black people, because you put us through so much red tape for us to own the cannabis that is now legal. And this is the very industry that you lock so many black men and women up for. So it's some of those things that we're saying that we want reparations for as well. And then the rest of it looks like a lump sum check to those descendants as well, and monthly payments given. Monthly payments in the same way the Native Americans have gotten it, and are getting it right to this day. So that's what ADOS is for, and that's what ADOS represents. Just to kind of say it in a nutshell there. I tried to go as fast as I could.
No, no,